Welcome everyone back to my channel, and we've got some very exciting news. A couple of days ago the Fallout 4 trailer was released officially, and I think I just about creamed myself watching it, but then I calmed down enough to analyze the trailer itself and actually have a look, and I'm going to break this video down into three parts. The first part will be what the trailer shows and what we can infer from the trailer and what we can see. The second part will be what I thought before the trailer came out, what Fallout 4 would be, and the part three will just be where I think it's going and my predictions now that we've seen the trailer and based on everything we've got, what we know and what we can predict. Okay, so the first bit the trailer shows, the first thing that is immediately obviously noticeable is the more powerful engine. Just everything looks better. There's better graphics, the texturing's more fantastic, the shading and the lighting and the particle effects, the greater detail on the quality of the objects, and not only that, but the environment. It just looks better graphically in every conceivable way. Now, normally with graphics, I'm not concerned if it looks okay, if it looks good, as it does in Fallout. The other Fallout games, Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, they look fine. But I think any graphical improvement should be commented on, and it should be Bethesda should be congratulated just for this, because it looks so much better. It looks absolutely fantastic now. The second thing in this is that in the trailer is that it looks different aesthetically. Not just graphically, where everything looks shinier and smoother and more realistic, for want of a better word, more kind of better design, better quality, but it also looks different. The ghouls themselves, as you can see, they look kind of more zombie-like, more like traditional zombies, or what you'd see in sort of Call of Duty zombies. They look more kind of dead and deadly. They kind of look more rotted, more kind of possessed, and they look more like the sort of undead things they're meant to replicate. Now, I'm not sure if this is all ghouls or just the feral ghouls, which we see in the trailer, but we'll have to look at that at some point. We'll have to see when the game comes out. The vault itself looks more colourful. There's more colours on it, and that's the same actually for the environment. Everything looks more colourful, but the vault itself has a different opening mechanism. It looks more like it's a combination between the first and third Fallout games, where in the first Fallout games it would roll to the side. First and second Fallout games, the vaults would roll to the side, the doors would open outward, they'd roll to the side, whereas in the third Fallout game it was pulled inwards by an opening mechanism. Now it's kind of a combination of the two, where it gets pulled inwards and then rolled to the side. And then the exit and entry to the vault is actually kind of like a platform, a lift, whereas before it's kind of hidden in a cave and there'd be a door, and then the door would lead to the vault door. But now it's kind of like there's a whole platform to it, like a kind of missile silo or something, like an underground bunker, and it looks more kind of high-tech and more noticeable, so it's very different aesthetically. The death claws and the robots look very kind of revamped. They look amazing, and they look more terrifying than ever and more kind of interesting to look at. Looks like different colour schemes, patterns, more bits and bobs on them that they've put on, more lights, everything on it looks absolutely fantastic. And it looks a bit different from Fallout 3 and New Vegas, but I doubt they'll be just as good, but they'll be more interesting to look at. The vault suit itself looks more like the vault suit from Fallout 1 and 2, instead of kind of like the crumpled leathery sort of fabric from Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. It looks more like the kind of whatever it is, nylon or whatever it is from the first Fallout and second Fallout, the skin-tight jumpsuit. There's also in this, moving on now, it looks like there's weather. You can see several times lightning and rain, and I think that's fantastic, because that's what people have been asking for or suggesting. Just I've seen it around the internet. It'll be interesting if we can have weather, and there's been the potential for this since the first Fallout game, where they mentioned an NPC, if you talk to them, says as an offhand comment, "I hope the rain isn't glowing like it was yesterday." And I think that'd be interesting if that's a possible gameplay feature, where with different weather comes different challenges. So perhaps reduced visibility, some radiation poisoning, minor radiation poisoning when it rains or something. New enemies that only come out in certain types of weather or at night, and I think that would just be it's absolutely the right choice here. And possibly even, I think there might be improved AI, and there's definitely improved animation. You can see the robot looks like it's slinking and kind of like walking more like a robot, and like kind of like a effort. It looks like it's taking more effort, and the ghouls themselves look like they're running smoother. Everything just looks like it's sort of uh, working better, and I'm wondering if this is because they've improved the AI itself to kind of feel more alive than kind of just a bit clumsily animated. For the most part, it's everything's programmed well in Fallout, but sometimes it does feel a bit sloppy. It works well, but it's a bit. It could definitely be do with tightening up, and I think they might have done that. And the animation, I've definitely see like especially the dog. If that's any reflection of what they're going to be like, the dogs were a bit lifeless, but in the previous Fallout titles. But I think they might actually just be vastly improved now. What else? We can see it set in Boston. There's the Boston State House and Fenway Park. I had to look that up. And there's a statue. I forgot the name of the statue, but there's apparently a statue that's in Boston. So from all this, we can see it's set in Boston, which is what was predicted. There's also the blimp, which looked very interesting, and the VTOLs. And also you can see the power armor. People in power armor. It looks like it might be the Brotherhood of Steel or the Enclave. We're not sure which, because it was mostly the Enclave which had the VTOLs and the access to the power armor, but also the Brotherhood of Steel, who's been around for longer looking for these sorts of things. And it definitely looks like a Brotherhood of Steel type power armor. So we'll have to see like whether or not it's who's actually in this game as the two factions, or as a faction. We also see the super mutants. We think it looks like super mutants. It looks like the same hulking forms, and it also looks like they're kind of slumped, and they're sort of like tall, imposing figures. And if you look at the Fallout 3's super mutants, it definitely looks like that. They look familiar. So my money would be going on it being the super mutants. I also thought I saw a Mirelurk. It might not be a Mirelurk, but if seeing as it's set in Boston on the East Coast, similar, and everything looks similar to Fallout 3-esque settings. So I'm predicting it'll be a Mirelurk. And if you can see on the when the VTOL's going up in the city, it looks like it says there's a post that says GNN with a radio tower and a sort of waves coming out of it and on planet Earth. And I think because we had GNR in Fallout 3, which is Galaxy News Radio, I think there might be GNN Galaxy News Network or something, and hopefully that means that Three Dog will be back, because I'm definitely looking forward to that. If he is, it might not be. That's what I've gotten from it. And we've seen again the ruin of cities and towering skyscrapers, and then the makeshift settlements that have sprung up. And what looks like and sounds like a voiced protagonist. It might be a more canon protagonist. I mean, in the previous Fallout trailers, they had, in the Fallout 3 trailer and the Fallout New Vegas trailer, they showed you a character, but that was kind of a model they made in the game just to show you the gameplay. This one is, a complete full trailer, CGI trailer, and he's got a voice, so it might be a voice protagonist this time, which is an interesting concept. It might be a canon protagonist, seeing as they've made effort into actually rendering him in CGI rather than just using a game model to demonstrate the gameplay. So that's definitely something that might be there. That might come into play that is going to be factored in. Okay, now part 2 here. What I thought about the Fallout 4 would be before I saw the trailer. When I first thought about Fallout 4, and then as time went on, I thought there'd be a graphical improvement. I didn't know what it was, so I kind of, as a point of reference, I just kind of imagined it would be mostly like Fallout 3. But because I didn't know how the engine would look, what it would look like at the game itself, I kind of imagined it like Fallout 3, but smoother, just with a few sort of graphical improvements to make things look more kind of, well, kind of less like the graphics from 2008 and more like the graphics from, well, now. But I didn't know what now would be, so I kind of looked at, if you imagine DC area in Fallout 3, Uh, I kind of imagined it to look something like that, the sort of just a cityscape, with crumbling skyscrapers and the tower and the skeletons of towers and things like that, like in downtown DC in Fallout 3, and it just kind of dreary and grey, with less colour than you can actually see in the trailer. I just kind of imagined it to be very sort of grey and green and brown sort of thing, with kind of like rust and no colour, like very little colour anyway. And I kind of just imagined it because from what I gathered from Fallout 3, the what we heard of the Commonwealth, because I did want it to be set in Boston. I did want it to be set in the Commonwealth and to deal with the Institute. I did imagine the anarchic ruins of the city, and then kind of a heavily guarded complex near the centre. So, like, if you'd imagine Tenpenny Tower from Fallout 3, where they have the guards and the whole thing, where they're not going to let anyone in. But I kind of imagined it to be more like a kind of like the Enclave set up inside, where everything's technologically advanced and everything's clean and smooth and sort of bright lights and all the gadgets everywhere. But it is kind of, I didn't imagine it to be like the Enclave in the sense that they'd have a plan for world domination. I imagine they'd be relatively neutral in terms of how they felt about the outside world. They didn't care about anyone. They didn't want to help anyone because they just believed them to be savages. But I thought they'd be kind of they'd also be technologically advanced, and they're engaging in slave trade with androids because they didn't think them to be human. And yeah, I kind of just imagine it'd be these two kind of faces of society: the kind of technologically advanced, elitist society on the inside, that could kind of rival the Enclave on technology, but even better with brain power and the intelligence they had. So they kind of had a sort of somewhat justified sense of being better, but they're very elitist, very sort of selfish, and kind of just this they kept themselves away from everyone else. But I had this other idea, perhaps, that they would hire, perhaps, or they'd avoid hiring. I wasn't actually sure. They might hire people from outside to keep other people from outside away, so the toughest people could be let inside to act as guards or something similar. And I imagine that the protagonist would be, from what I read from the script, the leaked script. I'm not sure if that's fake or not. It might be, but it seems it was what I based it on. I was very interested in my thoughts. I based them on this script because I liked the idea. I imagined that because it mentions about the on the brink of war, which is what I imagined to be the Great War. I imagine that would be the protagonist would be a pre-war soldier who was kept in stasis until after the apocalypse, and then he was revived, and then just came out of stasis, and then his family were missing, and so his motive to go across the wasteland was to find his family. And then perhaps midway throughout the game, they found out they were actually an android who was modelled on this pre-war soldier, and they believed they were the pre-war soldier because they were programmed. And I believe that perhaps either the main quest or the side quest would be in the Institute, and perhaps it would be around the railroad, saving androids and synthetics, and you either helping them or turning them in, sort of thing. And then perhaps there was a Riley's Ranger or Italian Company style faction, or factions that were kind of battling either to keep the people out and save this last bastion of civilization in the Institute, or perhaps share the technology with the Institute, or and depending on your choices, the wasteland could prosper, or perhaps the entire thing would crumble because raiders attacked it and just wanted everything for themselves to use it for their own short-sighted needs, or the technology in the Institute, and it was up to you, kind of the fate of the wasteland. And that was how I saw it turning out. And I thought one of the key themes in it would be, what is it to be human? Because they'd have the synthetics, and perhaps a faction of synthetics who wanted to kill off all the humans in the Institute because they were being because they saw them as evil, and then kind of trying to resolve this conflict, and then who's a synthetic and who's a real human, and all this. And I thought perhaps it would be. Ideally, I wanted it to take place 4 years after Fallout 3, so you could have you could meet Dr. Lee in the Institute. She's said to have gone to the Institute, or she's gone to the Commonwealth. And I thought it'd be interesting if you could meet Dr. Lee in the Institute with her with how fantastic her work is and how intelligent she is. She might be allowed into the Institute. I thought you could meet her and find out a little bit about what happened in Fallout 3. Canonically, instead of just kind of trying to so you could infer from what she told you what happened in Fallout 3 and what happened to the Capital Wasteland. But I also thought it'd be okay if it took place, between 4 and 20 years after Fallout 3, preferably no later than 2299, because it just seems a bit late. I don't like long spans, a span of time between two games. Kind of the shorter the better, but also hopefully with enough time to leave things to happen just in case because if you put games too short together, it will just be like things won't develop, problems won't develop, and there won't be anything to resolve, and it won't be an interesting backstory to find out anything out about. But if you leave it too long, people will start coming out of the wasteland, it will just become less and less believable that it's the aftermath of a post-apocalyptic event. So it kind of, that was the issue with it. Okay, now that's all done with. I think time for the final part 3. What do we think about the game now? What do I think that the game's going to be now that I've seen the trailer? Well, I always thought that Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 put together and some new stuff thrown in was Fallout 3. Essentially what they did is they took the themes and the identities of the first two Fallout games, so the super mutant issue from Fallout 1 and the whole water chip scenario and the trying to help the wasteland recover, and then the whole Enclave human superiority thing from Fallout 2 and trying to save the people that the Enclave deemed less important, plus a new idea of trying to give the Capital Wasteland fresh new water with a new gameplay style, first person shooter instead of top-down turn-based strategy. All that made Fallout 3, and it made it work really well. Now I think that the same applies for Fallout 4. It's Fallout 1 and Fallout 2 and Fallout 3, and some new stuff thrown in there. Better engine, better animation, smoother gameplay, everything. I think that will be Fallout 4. Everything's updated, the animations, the models, the AI, hopefully everything just looks better, and I'm hoping it will play better. And I think the updated everything will just work. And also I think because you can see your character come up into the sunlight, you can see it's like more cinematic. They actually have like your first person model, whereas before it was kind of when it went to a cutscene it would just be first person, you couldn't see your body at all. It was just kind of for the sake of simplicity. I think now it might actually put more kind of more of the character model in and kind of feel more inclusive. Also, perhaps the Pip-Boy 4000 is just a thought, because they had the Pip-Boy 3000 in Fallout 3, they had the Pip-Boy 2000 in Fallout 1 and 2, so I'm thinking new game, they might move it up to a new model just to include a new few features. And perhaps I thought some other inspiration from other games, like Mass Effect, like with a voiced character, so voiced Shepard and all that. And I still hope it will be set 19 years after Fallout 3, or 20 years after Fallout 3. And hopefully, though, I want to be able to meet Dr. Lee and learn a bit about Fallout 3. I think that's kind of my hope, my hope for that. Okay, so I think that's everything. Thanks for listening. I know I'm just absolutely beyond excited for this game, and I just can't wait for it to come out. And I hope everyone else feels the same. And I hope that actually, it's some final news. It's apparently destined to come out on October the 23rd, which, if you're an avid Fallout fan, which you must be if you've got so desperate as to find my channel, because you've gone through everything else on YouTube, then that'll be the date of, that's the date of the Great War, when the bombs fell, October 23rd. So I'm glad they've noticed that little detail, they've put that in, and I absolutely love that. So, thank you for everyone, and also thanks to all the artists and Bethesda and everyone I've stolen stuff from to help make this video. All rights to them. I claim none of this material except my voice. Thank you, and have a great day.